Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Just Bulldogs podcast. I'll be your host. My name's Jaden Bailey. Um, Getting into this week's game, Bulldogs are taking on the New Zealand Warriors at Accor Stadium. This is our home game on Saturday at 3 p.m. Headed into this one as pretty strong favourites, $1.50 to $2.60. Um, where we currently sit on fifth in the ladder, really trying to hold on to that spot in the top eight with a pretty congested ladder in that middle part. And the Warriors currently sitting in 13th. So if you're going off ladder, it looks like a game that we should be able to win pretty comfortably. But Warriors had a pretty good game last week against a pretty understrength Broncos side, but they do have some pretty good football in them. But they are at the back end of that logjam of teams trying to get into the top eight. So they really need to start sacking some wins if they're trying to do something this season. And we are currently trying to get away from the pack, try to separate ourselves and really lock in our spot in the top eight and potentially fight for a top four spot. But yeah, really trying to lock in that spot around the fifth, sixth mark. But getting into this matchup at 3 p.m. on Saturday, Bulldogs taking on the Warriors. Getting into the team list, I'll quickly run through the Warriors side. At fullback, they have Chance Nickel-Klokstad. On the wings, a couple of ex-Bulldogs, Dallin Watane, Zalesniak, and Marcelo Montoya. In the centres, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck and Adam Pompey. 5'8", Chanel Harris-Tavita, and at halfback, Tamade Martin. Front rowers, Adam Fanua-Blake and Mitch Barnett with Wade Egan at dummy half. Back rowers are Murata Niokore and Kurt Capewell with Tohu Harris at lock. On their bench, Freddie Lussick, Dylan Walker, Jazz Tavunga, and Jackson Ford. And their extended, Jacob Laban, Tane Tuapiki, Ali Leatawa, Bunty Afoa, and Lika Halasima. Getting into our Bulldog side, a couple of changes this week, a couple of players returning. Starting off with our fullback, Connor Tracy, back from his stint off with the HIA. On the wings, Jacob Kiraz moves back after a week at fullback, and Blake Wilson. The centres, Bronson Cherry and Stephen Crichton, our captain. 5'8", Matt Burton with Toby Sexton at halfback. Our starting front rowers, Max King and Semu Hughes with Reed Marnie at dummy half. The back rowers, Viliami Kickout and Jamin Semin with Bailey Hayward at lock. Our bench, Kurt Mann, Josh Curran, Curtis Morin, and Lipoi Hopoi. Josh Curran, first season at the Dogs after coming from the New Zealand Warriors. And our extended bench, Gerald Skelton, Jake Turpin, Blake Taff, Harry Hayes, and Jack Todd. Jack Todd's first time featuring on the extended after returning from injury. Sounded like he was going to get a chance to play in the top grade a couple of months ago, I think it was. So now back in the mix. Probably not coming into the side this week, but I reckon over the next few weeks, a good chance that he could make his NRL debut. So definitely want to look out for there. But yeah, the couple of changes, Connor Tracy, as I mentioned, back from HIA after the Sydney Roosters game where he got a pretty nasty knock to the head, moves Jacob Kiraz to the wing and sees Gerald Skelton come from the side. And the other change, Kurt Mann on the bench after his suspension layoff, pushes Blake Taff into the reserve. So just a couple of light changes. The other one that I noticed when I first read it, no Jacob Preston on the extended bench last week, a chance to play, but didn't make the side come game day. It has been reported by Gus Gould on Twitter that he did come up with a bit of a twisted ankle during training, so they're just giving him the extra week here. We got the bye next week, so give him an extra few weeks to really try to get that injury sorted and get him ready for the back end of the season. Player that we will need for our finals run, so definitely want to get him healthy while we can. But yeah, besides that, a pretty set side. Nothing too crazy. No force changes this week. Just a few players coming back in. So a bit of a stronger side for us, especially Connor Tracy and the rotation of Kurt Mann and Bailey Hayward. I really like the way that they play about the 20 minutes each half. Works really well. A couple of smaller bodies on the field. They get through a lot of work, but you don't want to. You don't want the big boys just running through them all day, especially when they're gassed. It gets real hard out there. So I really like the way that they rotate 20 minutes each half. But this Warriors side, the parts of their game we really have to look out for. They're very good getting out of their own end with Dallin and Marcelo Montoya, pretty big boys, pretty strong runners. So a couple of players that we really need to try to shut down as much as possible on their get out sets. But it's very much the size of their forward pack that could be the worry for us, as we've seen the past few weeks against the Cronulla Sharks and the Sydney Roosters. The big forward packs have been pretty tough for us to stop, and it'll be pretty similar to that once again this week with the starters of Adam Fanua-Blake and Mitch Barnett. Definitely some pretty good size between the two of them. Adam Fanua-Blake, one of the bigger front rows in the comp, and one of the elite few. And then Mitch Barnett, who's been in pretty incredible form so far this season in the mix for New South Wales Origin team. Hasn't been able to get into the side yet, but has been 18th man, so definitely in some pretty good form. So those two players definitely ones that we have to try to get on top of. Once their rotation starts, it'll probably suit our game a bit better. They've got a pretty small bench that'll be pretty similar to our style of play for the later parts, but that first 20 or 30 minutes is where we really need to work hard in defense to slow down this Warriors forward pack. Because Adam Fanua-Blake and Mitch Barnett can definitely do some damage. So definitely ones that we need to try to stop as much as possible. There's a couple spots on the field against this Warriors side that I think we should potentially try and target. First one I'd be looking at getting at is Tamare Martin. Tamare Martin playing halfback. Bit of a smaller body on the field, not the greatest defender. So I believe he defends on the right side at right half. So if we can get Viliama kick out one-on-one with him, that's a spot of attack that we should definitely be looking to focus on. Smaller body, Viliama kick out in very good form, especially 1 week off the injury. Hopefully his body's feeling a bit better. You could tell last week that he was struggling through some stuff. He was pretty gassed out by the end of the game. But hopefully this week his body's healed up a bit better. He's had another week's rest recovering from the injury. So if we can get, if Burton can get kick out one-on-one with Tomato Martin, I really like that matchup. Definitely one that I'd be looking to get at. And then Roger Tuivasa-Sheck at center. He's pretty electric in attack with the ball in hand, but not the greatest defender. He definitely can hold his own, but as a career fullback, moving into the front line, someone that I'd be looking to try to get at. I think he plays on the left for this Warriors side, so that'll be Stephen Crichton getting after him, and I definitely like that matchup with Critter. Going up against him, a player that hasn't spent a career in the front line as a defender. So Critter, one of the elite centers of our game right now. I definitely think he could get the upper hand in that matchup. So hopefully Toby Sexton can get some pretty good early ball to Critter and let him do his thing. The matchup, I'm not too sure how they're going to play the wingers. Last week, Jacob Carraz moved to the right wing after Joel Skelton went off when Blake Taft came on. Blake Wilson looks like he can play both sides of the field, so I would expect Jacob Carraz to be jumping on that right wing spot and Blake Wilson moving over to the left. So Stephen Crichton and Jacob Carraz hopefully linking up pretty well together and get that right side attack going once again. It's probably been last week it was a bit quieter, but we didn't really get a whole lot of attacking football, especially in the second half. So hopefully this week it can really spark up once again. Hoping that the Bulldogs can get some points going this week. Looked like we were going to have some pretty good attack going in the early parts of the Cronulla Sharks game. But after about the 13th minute when we scored our second try, we didn't cross the try line again after that. So hopefully this week our defense holds up the way that it has been, and then our attack can really start to fire once again. And get some points on the board against this Warriors side. So definitely a couple of spots that I'd be looking to target. Viliama Kickout getting over Tomato Martin and Stephen Crichton getting one-on-one with two of us at check. I think it's a pretty good matchup. Getting into some of the predictions for this game. My spotlight player, someone that we talked about so far, will be Viliama Kickout. I really like that matchup of him going over Tomato Martin. If you like throwing some bets on, Viliama Kickout would be one that I'd be looking to get on. I also do like that right side attack as well. if you're leaning on Critter or Jacob Kiraz, I think they're pretty good bets. So, yeah, my favorites for this one are Viliami Kickout and then either Critter or Kiraz. I think a good chance to get over in this one. And yeah, as I said, the Just Bulldogs spotlight player in this Bulldogs versus Warriors matchup is Viliami Kickout. I definitely think he'll be in for a very big game here. Prediction score wise, I think we're a good chance to get up in this one. I think we should be able to put a decent amount of points on. I believe even last week against a understrength Broncos side, yeah, Broncos still managed to put 16 points on without any of their star players. Warriors really got their attack going, but yeah, a very shaken up Broncos side. So I definitely think Bulldogs will be ready to put some points on the board in this one. I'm looking to come away with a win, 26 points to 12. Keep this Warriors side to just the 2 tries. I'll be very happy with that. And then I'm hoping that the Bulldogs attack can really start to spark in this one. So my prediction for this one, Bulldogs win 26 points to 12. And then my Just Bulldogs spotlight player of the game will be Viliami Kickout with Kickout, Kiraz, and Stephen Crichton, my favorites for potential try scorers here. But yeah, pretty big game for us this week. Really trying to solidify ourselves as a top 8 team. A loss could see us fall to the back end of the 8. So definitely trying to come away with the wins. Dolphins on the bye sitting 1 spot behind us, so we have to win if we want to stay in 5th spot. And try to even potentially fight for a top 4. But I'll be very happy if we can get a spot. If we can finish 5th or 6th on the ladder and get a home final come finals time is really what I'm hoping for. What I'm trying to lock in by season's end. 10 rounds to go. We don't have the toughest run home. We don't verse the top 4 teams, but we don't verse many teams near the bottom end of the ladder either. This Warriors side is the lowest position on the ladder team that we face for the rest of the year, and we know that they can play some pretty good football. So, do think it'll be a tough run home, but I think we're in a good enough place defensively that we can match it with any team in the comp, just as long as our offense can turn up on the day. And I think as our boys start to get healthy and we start putting the team on the field that we want to 1 to 17, with a return of some of the boys and one more to come, or a couple more to come back in Jacob Preston and Joshua Dakar later on in the year. I think we could be in a pretty good place for the run home when our attack starts to fire once again. But yeah, I think we're in for a pretty big game this week. I think it'll be a pretty tough start. I don't think there'll be plenty of points scored in the early stages, but I think we can grind it out and hopefully come away with a pretty strong win towards the back end. Battle of the ex-Penrith coaches, Cam Serraldo, going up against, I don't even remember his name off the top of my head, sorry. Yeah, the Warriors coach coming over from Penrith as well. Warriors coach coming over from Penrith Panthers at the same time as Serraldo came to us, Andrew Webster. We've also got a revenge game for Josh Curran, so I know that he'll be up for a big one. Had a bit of a come to form game last week after a bit of a poor performance against Sydney Roosters, so I know that Curran coming back against his old club will be in for a big one. So definitely look for a big stint from Josh Curran when he gets on the field. And then a couple of ex-Bulldogs, Marcelo Montoya and Dallin Watane-Zelezniak, the wing pair. The wing pairing for the Warrior side. I'm sure we'll be up for it in this one as well. So pretty exciting stuff. Should be a pretty fun game to watch. I think it sounds like we're going to have a pretty big turnout. So Bulldogs fans definitely try to get out to this one. They're looking to get some pretty big numbers getting to this game. So should be a good one to watch. Hopefully good weather on the day. I'll just get that up. On Saturday at 3 p.m. Good time slot. Looks like it should be a pretty good day as well. A bit of cloud, but 17 degrees, decently warm enough. So yeah, definitely if you're able to try to get out to the game, should be a very good one to watch. Nice Saturday afternoon out at the football. But that'll do for this one. Previewing the Bulldogs going up against the New Zealand Warriors. Very important game for our season as they all are getting towards the back end of the year when we're really got to try to lock in our spot in the top 8. Very congested ladder, so every win goes a really long way to helping us get into the final series. So I appreciate everyone for listening. If you want a bit more content, I've been pretty active on Twitter or X the past week. So if you are on there, make sure to check out at JustBulldogs _ been putting a few posts up. I like replying to comments. So if you want to jump on there, start a conversation, I'll definitely reply. Also got the Instagram going at JustBulldogs as well. Pretty active there on game day. Throw a few posts out there through the week, but on game day during the game, I give live updates on the story. So um, make sure to check that out. Flick us a message if you've got any questions or anything. If you want me to chuck anything else up on the podcast, definitely interested in all of your takes, or any inquiries about what you want to add it to the podcast. I appreciate any feedback. So make sure to jump on there at Just Bulldogs, Instagram and Twitter. But that'll do for this one. I appreciate everyone for listening, and I'll catch you next time. See you later. Let's go to Bulldogs.